Hey everyone, Matt here from the Matt Film Show. Welcome back to a brand new video. You guys are new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And in this channel, I talk about movies, TV shows, anything that involves movies. And in today's episode, I'm gonna be giving you guys the perfect casting in comic book movies. So let's get right into it. First actor I want to talk about is Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal as Iron Man is one of the best performances in comic book history. He was born to play Iron Man. He was in the first film. He got 3 solo movies. He was also in the 4 Avengers movies, in the Avengers, Age of Ultron, Infinity War, and in Endgame. He was also in Captain America: Civil War. He also came on Spider-Man: Homecoming, interacting with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and I love Iron Man, and he was the reason why I love Iron Man. And Iron Man will turn 15 years this year. It's crazy to think how I grew up with this franchise. And I was 8 when that first Iron Man came out, and now it's going to be 15 years since the release of Iron Man in May. So it's, I can't believe how long it's been. And yeah, like I said, I love Iron Man. I love his version of Iron Man. And he was born to play the character. Hugh Jackman as Logan Wolverine. He played Wolverine for 17 years in the original X-Men. The X-Men got 3 movies, a trilogy of X-Men films. He also got a trilogy of his own solo films. And X-Men Origins Wolverine, we don't talk about that. The Wolverine and the masterpiece Logan. He also appeared brief cameo appearances in the new X-Men films. And he made a cameo appearance in X-Men First Class. And he also fully appeared in X-Men Days of Future Past. And he will also be making his return as Wolverine in Deadpool 3 with Ryan Reynolds, which will be the first Marvel movie in the MCU that will be rated R. Also, Andrew Garfield, Peter Parker, Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man, and I love Andrew Garfield's iteration of Spider-Man. He is my Spider-Man. And he got 2 movies. Sadly, did not get a trilogy. The way they treated Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man was not great. I did not like the way they treated him over there at Sony. But he did get his proper return in Spider-Man No Way Home, and him interacting with Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland was great to see. And it's great to see him back in No Way Home. Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, Daredevil. I love Daredevil, his iteration of Daredevil. And I loved him in his first appearance in the MCU in Spider-Man No Way Home. It was just a brief cameo appearance. He also appeared as Daredevil in She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. He'll be also beginning his own show in the MCU titled Daredevil Born Again, which will be the first show in the MCU to get 18 episodes. He will also appear in Echo, which comes out sometime summer of this year. He played Daredevil in a Netflix series, but that's not part of he got 3 seasons over there on Netflix. He was also in the Defenders, but that's not part of the MCU, so we don't talk about that. Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. Vincent D'Onofrio was born to play Kingpin. His version of Kingpin was great. He was on the 3 seasons of Daredevil on Netflix, also in the Defenders. Like I said, we don't talk about that. But he made his own proper MCU debut in Hawkeye 2 years ago. And he will be making his return in Echo, as well as Charlie Cox's Daredevil. And he will also appear in Daredevil Born Again, which, like I explained right now, it will be the first show in the MCU to get 18 episodes. That should release sometime in 2024. Another one I want to talk about is Scarlett Johansson's portrayal as Natasha Romanoff, the Black Widow. She made her MCU debut in Iron Man 2. She was also in all 4 Avengers movies. She was in Captain America: Civil War. And she also got her own solo film in 2021 in Black Widow, which I kind of felt like that movie should have been released in the beginning of the the MCU, not after her death in Endgame, but it is what it is. It was made, there's nothing we can do, but I do love her version of Black Widow. Ryan Reynolds as Wade Wilson, Deadpool, like I explained. He appeared as Deadpool, in X-Men Origins Wolverine, but we don't talk about that. He had his first solo film with Fox in 2016, his sequel in 2018, and he'll be making his MCU debut in the third installment in Deadpool franchise with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, which I just explained right now. So I cannot wait for him to make his MCU debut as Deadpool. Then I want to talk about is Tom Holland's version of Peter Parker's Spider-Man. I love his version of Spider-Man. His portrayal, I should say, as Spider-Man. He first appeared as Spider-Man in Captain America Civil War. He was in both Avengers movies, Infinity War, and in Endgame, and he got a trilogy of movies in Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home. I do not like his version of Spider-Man in the MCU, him trying to become the next Iron Man Boy Jr. and the technology. I was not a huge fan of it. That's why I'm not a huge fan of the Tom Holland Spider-Man. But after the events of No Way Home, he's kind of becoming the street level Spider-Man that he should be. So I'm glad to see that. And let's see if I changed my mind after to see what kind of Spider-Man the street level Spider-Man he is. I might like him now that he's like that. Chris Hemsworth as Thor. Chris Hemsworth was born to play Thor. I love his version of Thor. He was the first character in the MCU to get 4 solo films in Thor, Dark World, Thor Ragnarok, and the last one we don't talk about, Thor Love and Thunder. We don't talk about that movie. Anyway, he was also in all 4 Avengers movies, in the first Avengers, Age of Ultron, Infinity War, and in Endgame. And I think his version of the character, he played him perfectly well. He plays him very well. I love the first Thor Dark World. We don't talk about that. I love him in Thor Ragnarok. Him interacting with Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans and all the Avengers in those movies are great to see. And I can't wait to see what they do more with him in the MCU. Jason Momoa as Arthur Curry as Aquaman. I love Aquaman. I love his version of Aquaman. He was in a brief cameo appearance in Batman vs. Superman. He also had his own solo film in Aquaman, which I love, one of my favorite comic book movies. And the special effects in that movie is great. It's unbelievable. I love the special effects in that movie. I love that movie. That movie is just, I love Aquaman. He will also be a sequel to that movie titled Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which will come out later on this December. And who knows if he will be returning to the character or not. If he doesn't return, it is what it is. I loved his appearance as Aquaman, and hopefully, who knows what the future holds for him. Chris Pratt as Peter Quill as Star-Lord. The Guardians of the Galaxy will be getting their 3rd installment of the franchise this May. And he also appeared in the Avengers movies and Infinity War and in Endgame, right, as Star-Lord. He was also in Thor Love and Thunder, which I believe in that movie was useless. In that movie, I don't understand why the Guardians were in that movie. They should not have been in that movie because in that movie they were useless. But I do love Chris Pratt as Star-Lord. Dave Bautista as Drax. He played him for the past 10 years now in Guardians of the Galaxy. He was also like Peter Quill and Chris Pratt in Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame. He was also in Thor Love and Thunder. Also talking about Chris Pratt's Star-Lord, he also had their own special presentation in the MCU and Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which came out last November. And he will also be in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and will be his last time playing the character, so we'll be saying goodbye or farewell to Drax. And please, Disney, Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, please do not kill off, please do not kill off Drax in Volume 3. Another one I want to talk about is Zoe Saldana as Gamora. She was in the Guardians of the Galaxy in the first one. She was also in Volume 2. She was also in Infinity War. She was also in Endgame. And she will be coming back in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I love her portrayal as that character and can't wait to see her more in that movie. Patrick Stewart as Professor X. I love Patrick Stewart's Professor X. He was in the original X-Men trilogy. He also had appeared in, I think it was The Wolverine with Hugh Jackman, the 2nd installment in the Wolverine franchise. He was also in Logan, which was his, supposedly his final appearance as that character. But he returned in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, right? He was in Multiverse of Madness in that movie throughout the multiverse. And it looks like he might be returning in Deadpool 3 with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. He kind of was not allowed to say anything about his role in that movie. So if he isn't or not, who knows? You know what I mean? It'll be great to hope he is, that way he can interact again with Hugh Jackman again and Ryan Reynolds, all three of them in the movie. It'd be great to see all three of them interact with each other. Ian McKellen as Eric Lyncher, Magneto. I love Eric McKellen's Magneto. He played him in the original X-Men trilogy. He came back again in X-Men Days of Future Past. It was kind of like a feature past different versions of the actors, right? The new old actors and the new actors of X-Men interacting with each other. It kind of felt like a multiverse movie. In reality, it was not really a multiverse movie, but in a sense it was. And I love his version of Magneto. James McAvoy as Professor X. He was in the newer X-Men films and the First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and the Dark Phoenix. And I love his portrayal as Professor X. James McAvoy did a phenomenal job. Who knows what could happen? It's the multiverse. He could come back or not. Who knows if he will return? Michael Fassbender as Eric Lyncher Magneto. We just talked about the last Magneto, right? And he was in First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and Dark Phoenix. And Apocalypse, we don't talk about that movie. And I loved his portrayal in that movie as well. Great. He was born to play Magneto. Heath Ledger as Joker. Rest in peace to Heath Ledger. He played in The Dark Knight from Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight in 2008 with Christian Bale. His version of Joker is one of the best performances in comic book history. I love his portrayal as Joker, and it was sad to see that he sadly passed away, but I do love his iteration as Joker. Henry Cavill as Clark Kent Superman. Superman is one of my favorite comic book characters of all time. I love Superman, and the disrespect of that character in the DC universe broke my heart. I don't understand the way that disrespected Superman in the old Warner Brothers, you know what I mean? And I'm glad that James Gunn and Peter Safran have big plans for Superman. They're making a new Superman movie titled Superman Legacy coming out July of 2025 without Henry Cavill, but at least Superman is returning to the big screen. So I'm very proud that James Gunn and Peter Safran care about Superman and care about all of that. He returned in Black Adam, right? Cameo appearances, but the way they treated him in that movie and his return was not great to me. It was very unfaithful. He made a video of him returning as Superman, announcing his return as Superman after Black Adam, and a couple of days later, Warner Bros. Came out and said that Henry Cavill was no longer Superman, and now he had to make an apology video explaining that he will no longer be Superman. So the way they treated him, they mistreated him so badly. Can't believe they did that to him, but his time as Superman has been done, and I loved his version of Superman. Tom Hiddleston as Loki. I love Loki. Loki in the first Avengers was a perfect villain to start off with. Him in the first Thor, him in Thor the Dark World, and Thor Ragnarok. He was also in Avengers Infinity War, in Endgame as well. And he got his own solo series in Loki, which was in the events of in Endgame throughout the timeline set in the first Avengers movie and throughout that timeline. And he will begin a second season this year, sometime in summer. Loki season 2 will begin a second season on Disney Plus sometime this year. Cannot wait to see Tom Hiddleston return as Loki. J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. J. Jonah Jameson was a news reporter in the Daily Beagle in the original Spider-Man trilogy, and they picked the perfect guy to come for him to play that character. J.K. Simmons does a perfect portrayal of that character, right? He also returned to the MCU in Spider-Man No Way and Far From Home in the post-credit scene, and he was also in No Way Home. And I'm so excited that they brought him back. They picked the perfect guy to portray J. Jonah Jameson in the MCU. He was born to play that character. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn was kind of not really a big center of the DC universe. She was in Suicide Squad. She was her own solo movie, Birds of Prey, which was not that great. Should have been called Harley Quinn instead of Birds of Prey, and whatever the title was. The movie should have just been called Harley Quinn. She was in James Gunn's Suicide Squad, which I love James Gunn's iteration of Suicide Squad, except the 2016 Suicide Squad. I do not know if she will be returning as that character and not in the new DC under the James Gunn and Peter Safran leadership. But if she doesn't return, all I could say was she portrayed that character very well. Her version of Harley Quinn was great. We're going to be getting a different version of Harley Quinn this year. Next year, I should say. And Joker, Philippi Fox, I can't pronounce his name. I think the title's like in German or Italian or something like that. And Harley Quinn, that version of Harley Quinn will be played by Lady Gaga with Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. Anyways, Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. I love Benedict Cumberbatch version of Doctor Strange. He had his own solo movie. That's where he started off with. He was also in Avengers Infinity War. He was also in Avengers Endgame. He was also in Spider-Man No Way Home. And he interacted with Tom Holland. He interacted with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and Alfred Molina. All these villains who returned. And his interaction with all those characters was great to see. And hopefully, can't wait. They haven't confirmed, but hopefully, most likely he will be returning in Avengers Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars, and he will most likely be getting a third solo film in the MCU as well. Which none of those appearances, him appearing in Kang Dynasty and him appearing in Secret Wars has not been confirmed, and as well as the third Doctor Strange has not been confirmed, but we most likely will get third Doctor Strange. Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman's performance as T'Challa Black Panther was so great. He first appeared in Captain America Civil War. He had his own solo film. He was also in Infinity War. He was also in Endgame. And he sadly passed away in 2020 due to colon cancer. And Chadwick Boseman did such a phenomenal job as that character. I understand that people were very disappointed with Disney and Marvel Studios' way of them killing him off in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. A lot of people said they should have recasted him. It is what it is. They chose that version. They chose to not recast him. They chose to kill him off and had Shuri to become the new Black Panther. That's the way they chose him. And I know a lot of people were very disappointed the way that they did that, right? They should have had a new actor. But the way they handled him, honored him in Black Panther Wakanda Forever was done so beautifully. It was great to see him play as that character. Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. Samuel L. Jackson has been Nick Fury for 15 years now, since the beginning of Iron Man. He was in Iron Man 2. He was in, pretty much in the beginning of the MCU, he was pretty much in all the movies. He was in Captain America, the First Avenger. He was in the Avengers. He was in Avengers Age of Ultron. He was in Avengers Endgame. He was also in Captain Marvel. So later on in the MCU, he was getting less appearances in the MCU. At the beginning, he had a lot of appearances, like towards the phase 3, phase 4, lesser appearances. He will be returning again in Secret Invasion, and he will also be returning in The Marvels, which is a sequel to Captain Marvel, with Brie Larson and Iman Vellani as Miss Marvel. So him interacting with Miss Marvel, well, I would like to see his interactions with Miss Marvel as well, and can't wait to see him return in that movie, and I can't wait to see him get his own solo series. And Secret Invasion which should be coming sometime in spring of 2023, maybe like in the end of March, April, or maybe end of April or May, beginning of May, who knows. Another one I want to talk about is Michael Caine as Alfred, who played Alfred in the Dark Knight trilogy, and Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises. I loved his version of Alfred, and his interaction with Christian Bale was great to see, and yeah, I love his reiteration of Alfred. Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn, Green Goblin, who played him in the first Spider-Man movie. He also made his return in Spider-Man No Way Home, which gave best performances in No Way Home by Willem Dafoe. I loved him interacting with Tom Holland, with him interacting with Andrew Garfield. Seeing him return interacting with Tobey Maguire was great to see, right? And he just gave the best performance of that character. He owns that role. He is the Green Goblin. Another one I'll talk about is Gary Oldman as Jim Gordon in the Dark Knight trilogy. Gary Oldman portrayed Jim Gordon very well. I loved his version of that in that movie. The new Batman movies, I believe he is played by, can't remember what the actor's portrayal is, and the new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. Jeffrey Wright, there he goes. Jeffrey Wright portrays him in the new Batman, the new Batman franchise with Robert Pattinson. But I do love his version, Gary Oldman's portrayal of Jim Gordon in the Dark Knight trilogy. Now I want to talk about is Tom Hardy as Bane. Tom Hardy's portrayal as Bane was perfectly so well in the Dark Knight trilogy. He portrayed him very well. Great villains to end the Dark Knight trilogy with on a great note. Anyways, and to the left, Tom Hardy as Bane. Alfred Molina as Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2. Him interacting with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was great to see. I loved him returning and Spider-Man No Way Home. Him interacting with Tom Holland in the beginning of the movie was great to see. Him interacting with Andrew Garfield was great to see as well. I loved his version of Doc Ock, and I'm so happy that he returned as that character because he is Doc Ock. Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne Batman. Michael Keaton played Batman in the original Batman movie, and I love his version of Batman. He will be making his Batman return in The Flash, and I cannot wait for that Flash movie. So excited for Flash. I cannot wait to see him interacting with Ezra Miller's version of The Flash, him interacting with Ben Affleck as Batman. Can't wait to see both Batman on screen together. It'll be funny to see them both as Batman on the same screen, their interactions together. Cannot wait to see him come back as Batman. And I'm so excited for him to return as Batman. So that's Michael Keaton's Batman. Christian Bale as Batman. His performance as Batman, I think, is one of the best performances in comic book history of Batman. He played with the Dark Knight trilogy, and Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises. His portrayal in those films were so great. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. I love his version of Batman. Also, Michael Keaton, talked about Michael Keaton. I love in the end of the Flash trailer, he's like, I'm Batman. Like, that was great to see Michael Keaton say, I'm Batman in the end of the trailer of the Flash. Anyways, Mark Ruffalo's performance as Bruce Banner of Hulk. He first appeared in The Avengers and with Hulk. And he was also in Avengers Age of Ultron. He was also in Thor Ragnarok. And he was also in Infinity War. He was also in Endgame. And he also had a brief cameo appearance in She-Hulk Attorney at Law on Disney+. And I do like Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, Bruce Banner. His version of that character was perfectly great. And I loved him interacting with Robert Downey Jr., Tom Holland, Tom Holland and Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth. Him interacting with the Avengers was great to see, and I love his version of Hulk, his iteration. Another one I want to talk about is Rosemary Harris, who played Aunt May in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. She sadly passed away, I think a long time ago actually, but her version of Aunt May was perfectly so well. Her interacting with Tobey Maguire and Kristen Dunst as MJ and James Franco as Harry Osborn. Her portrayal, her interacting with Uncle Ben as well in the first Spider-Man movie was so iconic. I love her version of Aunt May. May her rest in peace. Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger, one of the best villain performances in the MCU. And Black Panther, he also made a brief appearance in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. He is also in Creed, right? I can't wait to see him again. We should in Creed 3 with Jonathan Majors. I love him in Creed. He also appeared at Marvel as Johnny Storm. Yeah, we don't talk about his version of Johnny Storm. But yeah, I love him as Eric Killmonger, and I loved him in Return in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Marissa Tomei's version of Spider-Man in Spider-Man The Home Trilogy and Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home. She was also in Spider-Man in Captain America Civil War. She was also in Avengers Endgame as well. Her chemistry with Robert Downey Jr. is perfectly so well. So great to see her chemistry with RDJ. Her chemistry with Tom Holland is great to see as well. her version of Aunt May is so great. And Emma Stone's version of Gwen Stacy, her interaction with Andrew Garfield in the first two Amazing Spider-Mans was great. Her death scene in that movie was so sad to see. Yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. Then let me know in the comments below what you guys thought about this video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you guys like, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.